This is Expat Chris, and I'm an expat living in Mexico since 2016, and I love travel, adventure, and culture. And I created Expat Rebel to show expat and digital nomad lifestyle, foreign travel, and living overseas. So be sure to like the video, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications whenever we come out with new videos. And if you need some help becoming an expat fast, then go to expatrebel.com and ask for our help. So I've been getting a lot of questions about how to travel during this pandemic. Now, I am living in Mexico, and I got here back in 2016, and so I was here when the lockdown started. I was going to Miami for my birthday celebration. I was going to go to the Miami Zoo and a bunch of Zen gardens and museums, just have a nice culture break. I like doing that when I go into the States because I live on the beach most of the time. I'm kind of away from all that. But nonetheless, that got canceled because our Airbnb got canceled. And then it was like, well, let's go to Panama. And Panama closed their border. So I actually got kind of stuck here. I'm here in Mexico a lot, so it was great. I had a beach house, and right now I'm in Merida, and for July and August, and I'll be going back to the beach nearby, about an hour away, in September. But coming November, when I have to leave and move on, I'm going to have to check these sites. So I wanted to share you how I'm going to be able to do that. Hopefully by the time I leave in November, none of this will matter. And if you're wanting to travel or even become an expat right now, I'm going to show you the process of how to figure out where you can go. Because right now, the American passport is a little bit worthless. Visa-free travel is, in the past, has been great, but because the coronavirus has really spread far and wide in the US, a lot of countries have not allowed people from the US to come to their country. And so this is a little article here, and I'll have this in the show notes description down below for you to click on and go and get to it and do your research, everything I'm showing today. But it's showing how that's usually where we can go to visa-free, and this is what it is right now. Very little. Now, in Mexico has actually never closed their border, their air border. You can fly into Mexico at any time. That hasn't changed. Yes, the airlines haven't been flying much because there hasn't been the demand for it, but it's been completely open the whole entire time. The border, the land border between the US and Mexico has been closed, and I think it's still closed. So that is an issue if you want to travel by land. That won't be possible. That'll hopefully in the future free up and be possible, but at this point, at the day of this recording, that's not possible. But you could fly here and do it, and there are people doing that and then going into a 14-day self-quarantine. Right now, I wouldn't really recommend that because people here are a little afraid of you if you're flying in. And if you have a house here or anything, there's actually been some neighbors who call the cops on you, and you get a little bit of a hassle, to say the least, even though you really haven't done anything illegal. I kind of wait. If you're wanting to travel or even move to Mexico, I'd wait. But this is the problem we're having with U.S. passport holders is this because of the pandemic. So you got to be aware of that it's a real problem because they're plague states. So this is all the places you can go to. There's number 17, there's Mexico. The other places on here you can with some restrictions or having to quarantine. So if you wanted a vacation, some of these you can't really because it's 2 weeks and then before they really let you out of your hotel room. So be aware of that as well. It's only if you're going to do long-term travel or you're actually wanting to go there and stay for a while. Some of these countries will allow you to stay for up to 6 months on a tourist visa. 2 weeks is not a big deal, but you got to be in a position where you want to actually stay that long. So that's some of the restrictions. If you have a U.S. passport, that's what's happening now. Now, Kayak, and I'll have this link in the notes as well, has a great tool on the travel restrictions by country. So this is a little great graphic here, what countries have different types of lockdowns, anything from being completely closed, partially open, reopening soon, or no restrictions. As you can see, Mexico has no restrictions except for the land border, which they don't really consider that a restriction, since you can just fly right over it and come here if you like. But you can see that there's not a lot. Most of them have partial or complete, like in Canada and most of South America. Brazil, partially open, which is funny because I think it's the virus is completely taking over there, and they're really not really enforcing lockdowns from what I'm hearing. So you need to research where you're going to. You can start here and figure it out. So let's go to Mexico. Let's say you wanted to come to Mexico. I'll click on Mexico, and it gives you everything you need to know about what you can do here and how to get, what the restrictions are. As I said, there really isn't any really happening, and so it's easy to come to Mexico. Where some other places, that is completely not true. See, some people want to go to Spain. Let's hear now. Wow, look at the length of this. This basically, to sum this up, because I can let you read this on your own, is that there's a lot of restrictions based on where you're coming from. That's the whole thing. Spain is not unusual in this, but they have very lengthy rules that you have to read, because some people are allowed to transport through Spain but not stay, and some are allowed to stay. And this goes through all the details you need to know of whether this is going to work out for you at all. So check out this website, figure out where you're coming from and where you're going, and if it's possible. Now, trip.com has a great tool, a little bit different in that you can put in where you plan to travel and where you've been the last 14 days, because a lot of countries are asking that. Where you been for the last 2 weeks? If you answer correctly, they'll let you in. If you're somewhere where they're still restricting, they won't let you in. So this tool allows you to do that. So let's say, because I was going to go to Panama, that I want to go to Panama. Tells me that you have to self-quarantine for 14 days. Entry is prohibited unless you're a citizen or a resident of Panama. I can't go there yet. And a lot of countries are this way, like we talked about earlier. And so this is a good way. Plus you can stick in, like, I've been to Mexico, I'm in Mexico, and it doesn't matter. So they're banning everyone. So you got to check out this website to figure out, it gives you a little bit more detail than Kayak. And then you actually need to check with your airline. So, for instance, down in Australia, Qantas, the national airline, has suspended all international flights through October, as of today, actually as of the 21st of July. This is what's happening. Now, they do have some flights to New Zealand. They have a little bit of a travel bubble. Australia and New Zealand are trust each other, because New Zealand did extremely well with an early lockdown and being far away from the origins of this virus. So they got lucky a little bit, and same with Australia. And so they both kind of beaten it, and so they're okay with flying in between there. And a lot of Qantas is really going to be focusing on local travel. You're going to see a lot of Australians and Kiwis basically, instead of flying internationally, they're going to just go on vacation locally. You probably see a bunch of Kiwis going to places in Australia they haven't been before, and vice versa, to get out of the house and have a decent summer vacation, or for them, winter vacation. So you got to check the airline as well. So this is just one example of what it is happening with Qantas. Now you can just look up your favorite airline. And I did Delta. I happen to like Delta. I've been flying Delta, all my life, because when I lived in Alaska, they had best equipment, because my dad was an Air Force pilot. He knew all this techie stuff, and he knew that they had really sophisticated equipment in their cockpit for landing and with zero visibility and all this fancy stuff. So I've got used to flying Delta forever. You're going to go to your favorite place and find out what their restrictions are. So we go in the Coronavirus Update Center for Delta. Most of this is, safety measures, because flying on a plane is kind of risky for contracting this virus, and so they're trying to tell you about how safe it is. I don't know if you're with me, but I'm kind of putting off getting on a plane for a little while because of all this, but this is for you, and you'll have to make the decision of whether you want to get on a plane or not. This is it. They're not really telling any other restrictions, and so what you'll look at is when you book a flight of whether they'll actually have it or not. Now, I'm hearing from a lot of other foreigners here in Mexico that some airlines are canceling flights because they just don't have enough people that are booking it. Yes, they're being stuck up on the ticket systems out there, but when it comes down to actually getting on the plane, some of them are being canceled. So you need to be aware of that right now, because of all the chaos that's going on, unfortunately the U.S. being probably one of the last countries to recover from this, whenever that's going to happen, we're kind of at the mercy of travel because of that, of whether your airline is going to be able to actually fulfill when you buy a ticket or not. It's happening a lot right now, and it'll get better and better and better. I'm hearing from some people that they're really kind of predicting that the airline industry as a whole may take 3 years to recover from all of this, so it's kind of a big deal. Take it with a grain of salt on whether your flight will actually take off or not, and as this gets better and better, that probably will go up and up. That's it for really figuring out where you can go. And you're going to have to check this, and this is probably going to change daily, and it is going to be based all on the numbers, the coronavirus, and how fast or how slow, depending on how you look at it, this is going to take to recover from. Safe travels, whatever you guys do. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Check down below for all the links, and if you got a question, then leave a comment and I'll answer in a video. And are you wanting to become an expat soon? Then go grab my Expat Rebel guide to becoming an expat in about 30 days. It shares how I went from idea to actually moving to Mexico in about 30 days, and also shares how you can save about $3,000 on mistakes that I made within the very first month. You can get it over at expatrebel.com, and that's the latest from our newsletter at expatrebel.com.